If there's a particular section you want to jump to, either hover your mouse over the progress bar and find the section you want, or open the description, scroll down to the chapter list and click the link.
So now I've got him over here, I'm going to use the panel in the develop module over on this side.
Yeah.
And this is the bit that you would recognize as being normal, maybe.
Yes.
So over here, you've got auto, black and white, high dynamic range. Auto is quite nice. If I press auto, it does something. Let me just go back to the import setting. So if I press auto, it does a little bit. I might want to actually modify that myself, but it's given me a starting point down here. From here, I can think to myself, the highlights are still not quite right. So I can take the highlights down, and I perhaps want a little bit more in his shorts. So I can use the shadows for his shorts. And you'll notice that when I move into one of these as to which bit it is. So with my mouse in this histogram, if I move into this middle bit, just watch what happens on the top exposure line. It highlights. So if I move over to that, it's now gone into the shadows. So the blues are in the shadows. If I come over here, it tells me that those are highlights. We can see from the histogram, there's not a lot in the highlight and there's quite a lot in the shadowy area. So that is where I'm altering. Make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Some folks don't like doing it with the sliders. So you could go down to a tone curve, which is the same sort of thing that you've got in Photoshop. And again, you can do what you can do in those sliders with your curve. But I don't always know what tone, where I want to be down this slider. If I go over to this little dot there and come over here, you'll see that little dot thing has actually followed me and I've got a little crosshair. So if I go onto his shirt and pull down, it put a little dot on my curve so I can see where it is I'm affecting for his shirt, which is this one here. If I take the same dot over to his shorts, and his shorts are quite black, you can see it's right at the bottom down there, but I'm actually affecting the different bits. I really don't want too many lines on this one, but I can alter individual areas. Does that make sense? If I've put a dot on I don't want, I can double click it and it will just disappear and it'll make the line straight at that point. So I can get rid of all of those. The other thing I can do with the tone curve is up the top here, I've got the red, green, and blue. If I go into the green, I'm now going to affect the greens. I'm noticing that there's quite a lot of greens on there. So I'm just going to choose somewhere in the middle. If I go upwards, I brighten the greens. If I go downwards, I'm going into its opposite. So I'm putting some magenta in. So removing a color cast. This is a way to remove a color cast, but it could be that I want to alter the picture for creative use. If I go into the blue one, it's going into blue nighttime. So I can alter, but it could be I don't want him to be in the nighttime. So that's the tone curve. Along the top, that's where we are. The sliders image refers to these. This little guy is for changing the shape. So the original as shot is the same thing. I can go down to some preset shapes and sizes. So I can go down to a square and I can grab a handle and do whatever I want with my correction. I can change it to different paper sizes. So 4 by 5, 8 by 10 is also a 20 by 16. So those all are the format. And that is the format of Hasselblad cameras in my past. Whereas 5 by 7 was the shape of a 35mm film, which goes into a 16 by 12. If I go back to the as shot, you can see that we've got an overlay there for the thirds, which can be quite handy when you're designing your picture. The judge this week was talking about things on thirds, and quite often we get judges and they talk about things being on thirds. So this overlay just shows you where your interest is. So it could be we want to move that one around. So we can't get him on a third because the picture's wrong shape. But if I wanted just him upright, if I press X on my keyboard, he moves onto a portrait shape. And now I can move him onto a third. So his head is on a third. We had one judge, and I can't remember who he was. No, he was a speaker who had some lovely pictures with lakes and fjords. And he showed us some other shapes that could be useful. So these overlays are all built into your Lightroom, and the letter O on your keyboard just goes round them. So this is the thirds, and then this one is lots of squares. Perhaps this is useful if you're doing a landscape, you're doing a cityscape, you're doing an architectural, and you want to get things in lines. If I press it again, I can never remember all the names of these ones, but you would now put your subject up on that intersection or that intersection. It allows you to work out leading lines. So it's just an added extra. If I press it again, it just lines up in the middle. And whichever judge I'm thinking of, use this one on his example to actually have his special information up there and down there. And if I do it again, it has rule of thirds but smaller. And then it has the ideal, the Fibonacci. So this is the one where this is a shape of nature. So plants have this, trees have this, rock formations have this, snails have this. It's the Fibonacci. And there's big examples of this in the botanical gardens, the Leicester botanical gardens. They've got a whole Fibonacci garden with all the different shapes.
You said you can toggle through these with pressing the O key. Is it only the O key, and that's in develop mode, is it?
It's in the develop. It only happens when you're in this bit of transforming, changing the shapes and things. It doesn't appear anywhere else. So
you want to be in like a crop mode or something?
Yeah,
I see.
When you're in the crop. So if I come out of that one and now press the O, I'm pressing it to my heart's content and nothing's happening.
Yeah, I was just trying it on mine, but
Yeah.
I wasn't getting anything, and that explains it.
So it has to be on the crop. Yeah. In the develop module, all your individual folders of images don't show, but your collections do show. So you can access pictures via the collections module. So I can go into where I put my cowboy, and I can go into a seascape where I believe the earth has moved and the water's running out. So I can go back into my crop mode, and you've got this little spirit level. If I click that and go up to my horizon, you can see the spirit levels there. If I hold my mouse and come down a little bit further along there, and it will straighten. If I have this one here, I can go into it again, and I can go down the edge of this pillar and it will straighten. Although I didn't think that one straightened. Yes, it did. So it'll straighten. If you don't do that, just come out of those ones. You do have this auto button over the other side, and you can press that and it will do it itself. Let's go into my cowboy. He doesn't want to be a Fibonacci. He doesn't look natural for a Fibonacci. The last one on here is quick guides for the crop. So we have the different sizes on there, and then I'm going to go back to that one. So the next button along is the eraser, and that one gives me the chance to just remove blemishes. So we've got a little shine on him there, and I can just do that one and it's immediately gone. I can remove bigger bits with the sticking plaster one, and I can go just a little bit bigger on my size. I'm using the keyboard shortcut to make the brush size go bigger, which is the square bracket key. So I can just go onto there and they all just disappear, and they give me a little bit of extra something. Just thinking about this one over here, we have a history button. So all of these healing things that I've done, I can either Command Z out of it, or I can just go back to the original starting point. So the starting point is my import, and then I exported it from my hard drive, and that is where this one started off life this morning. We've also, while we're over there, but we got presets. Now, presets are things that you collect. They come with some of the Lightroom, and then you find other people who sell you presets. But I'm a Yorkshireman, so I only look out for the ones that where they're for free. But what does a preset do for me? Let's move down to this one, portraits, black and white. He's immediately changed to black and white, but there's lots of different variations, so I can just go down them and find the one that I like. If I chose that one, I click that one and that one happens, and I can go back over to the basic and I can see some of the things that it actually did, because I've got no settings that I've done on there, but I can see some of the things that it actually did to create him like that. And if we go into this black and white bit down here, we're going to find quite a few of those have changed as well. So while I'm talking black and white, if I wanted to change him black and white myself, let's just go Command Z and take him back to his color self. Various ways of making an image black and white. We can go into the Nik software and we can change him to black and white there. We can go into Photoshop and we can change him to black and white there. Or we can go into black and white here and change him to black and white there. Down here, we've got something called Color Mixer. And on Color Mixer, I can alter any of his colors. So if I don't like his jacket being quite as orange, I can grab the orange slider and I can alter that, and that alters only a single color. If I change my mind, I can double click that little slider and it takes it back. If I'm in the black and white mode, and I go down to where that color mixer was, color mixer has now disappeared and it says black and white. So I go into black and white and I've still got the same sliders. We all know now that his jacket was orange. So if I hold the orange slider, and we can see how altering the orange slider alters his jacket from darker to lighter. If we wanted to do something to his face and we don't know what his face is made up of, we've got a little dot, just like we had when we were on the tone curve, got a little dot. And if we press that and come over to his face, you can see the little up-down arrows now on his face. If I hold my mouse down, I'm altering his face, but I can see that there's a lot of orange in his face, because as I do it, I can see that the orange slider and the red slider are the ones that are moving. So I'm going to change picture to this chroma picture, and I'm going to make it black and white, and I'm going back down to there, grabbing that little slider. Well, we know that the sky is blue, and we can see that the blue slider is going quite a lot, but we can also see that the aqua slider, this one down there, was moving just that little. And as we move the different sliders, we can see what the rest of the picture is made up of. So the beach is oranges and yellows. The stones also oranges, and over there, yellows, greens. So we can alter a black and white picture. Isn't just a black and white picture. You can alter all the different bits of it to make it your own interpretation. So if we go back into my old days and Andre's old days of film, we would put a black and white film in the camera and would put colored glass on the front of the lens. If we wanted a really deep blue sky, we'd put a red piece of glass on. If we wanted a medium blue sky, we'd put an orange. And if we wanted the blue to stand out against the white clouds, we'd put on a yellow. So this is the equivalent of doing that. While I'm on these little guys, if I click into my basic, that's a big panel of lots of things. And normally, if I click into my tone curve, it would open that one as well. I don't know whether you've got yours set up on this one. If I right click on one of these, there it is. We've got a little panel comes up and it goes solo mode or not. So if I turn solo mode off, I can now open lots of these and they're just going to all get in the way. So if I right mouse click solo mode, and now if I open just one at a time, the other one closes. So that just keeps your desktop tidy. Right. Okay. So going down this one for Kate and for anybody else, if your image is that old, then on your develop module, your controls are different.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. That makes
So
sense.
we didn't have the highlight and the shadow. We had fill light. We had recovery,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
exposure. So exposure is simple,
Yeah.
and that's doing these midtones. Recovery is kind of the highlight version because it alters the pictures, the image at that end. Fill light alters it at the other end.
Does the
This-
recovery do a bit of a contrast as well, I
It
think?
does a bit of contrast.
Yeah. I still remember, now you've showed me, I now remember those controls as well.
We had a black setting,
Yeah.
but we didn't have a white setting.
No.
We had a brightness and a contrast,
Yeah.
and various other things didn't exist.
No.
So what could you do about it to bring it up to date? Well, you can go down in the develop module, you can go down to the word calibration. You can click into there and it tells me I took this image and first put it into my system when it was version 2. And it is now version 6. So you can actually take an image back in versions, but I can't exactly see why I would want to do that.
No.
But if I press version 6, it's only going to affect this one picture on my images down the bottom. So I can press version 6. I now go back up to basic, and I've now got all the current controls.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
While I'm down in calibration, it's one of those ones that used to scare me, this one.
Yeah.
But watching some of the boffins, because I wasn't absolutely certain whether I was supposed to change anything down here. And I discovered that whatever you change, you can unchange.
Yeah.
So that's good. So on primary reds, we can alter anything that is red, which pretty well is some of the bricks and some of the wiring. So I can alter the hue over to that side, and I can go into its opposite color, and I can alter the hue over to the orange side. But what I discovered is if you double tap the arrow, it just takes it back to how it started.
Which is very good. I
Yeah.
discovered that a long time ago. Very useful.
It is very useful. So the primary red, you can alter the saturation of it. So if you've got too much of it, you can just take it down a bit, or you can increase it. But we can actually do that in other places as well. Down here, this is global changing, not selective changing.
But the version thing is very useful, Paul, isn't it? To go, when you've got old pictures and which I've put in years ago, and then suddenly you can rework on it, can't you, with the latest controls?
Reworking, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Down here, we can ignore those color ones for the moment. Detail gives me sharpening. Is this a good picture to do the sharpening on? Oh, I don't see why not. So I can alter the sharpening and I can sharpen, but I perhaps only want individual bits sharp as opposed to absolutely everything, because that makes it stand out more. So I can go down to the masking button and I can press Control on a Mac, and I'm not quite sure what I press on a PC, but it's whatever button you got near your Alt key. And I can hold down my mouse. No, it isn't. It's the Option key that I'm pressing. And it all goes white, and I gradually slide, and the bits that you can see going black are the bits that are being sharpened. So I've now sharpened selectively rather than globally absolutely everything. So let's look at that on a different picture. Go back down to my folder of pictures that I pulled in. So if I go back to my cowboy and go back into develop and the sharpening, I can pull over a little bit, but I really want sort of his details sharp, but I don't necessarily want the background sharp. So I can go down to the masking, press the Option key, and I can see exactly which bits are being sharpened and which bits aren't. So that one's handy on that one. Now, the thing that you won't have on yours, Kate, is one that came with the last system, which is lens blur.
Oh, right.
Every so often they put things on Lightroom and you think, yeah, not sure about that. And then you play with them and you go, actually,
not bad.
That's not a bad idea. It's, could I do what I'm about to show you by another method? Probably yes. Would it be as quick? No. So I've gone on to lens blur and I'm going to press the button apply just to turn him on. And this, it turns out, because it said analyzing, is an AI feature, but it's a good AI as opposed to a bad AI. Bad AI is where it introduces somebody else's picture into your picture. A good AI is where it does jobs for you, but it doesn't affect your image any other way. So the background, if I just press my little eye, you can see the background is slightly sharp, but slightly blurred because that's how it was painted. But by choosing the equivalent of different apertures, I can actually blur the background and keep my subject in focus. So it's the equivalent of changing the aperture on your lens to a wider aperture in that particular picture there, which is going to focus on my subject and blur the background.
Can you do that again, Paul?
Yes, I can. So let me take him off.
Yeah.
So you can see exactly how this background is slightly blurry because it is designed as a photo background. So whoever painted it knows you don't want it sharp. So I'm going to apply, and then I'm going to use this wide aperture version.
Yeah.
So I'm going to click into that one, and you can see how out of focus the background's gone. I can control a little bit. I've got a blur amount, so I can really take it out, but that now looks wrong.
Yeah.
So we want to take it back to probably halfway-ish, and that's possibly how I could have taken it. We can affect the focus range a little bit down here as well. So as I move it over there, can you see the stars in the background become slightly sharper? And as I move it over,
his eyes get blurred.
Well, basically, it looks like you've misfocused when you move it to the right, doesn't it?
it does.
You didn't focus on a subject.
Yeah.
That's great. That's very effective, that is.
It is effective.
Yeah.
And it is a nice feature.
Mm.
Now, one of the other features of the new one, if you have the look at the little eyes, we've just done something in lens blur, and that little eye has come sharp. And we did something in detail, and that's sharp. And that's just their current idea of telling you that you've modified something in those particular panels.
Yeah.
The effect panel here, the one bit I do use is the vignetting. Every so often you get, let's change pictures to that one. Every so often you get one of the judges who says it's light down at the corner, and my eye is being drawn down there, and they probably say it's been drawn up to that bit of sky up there, and they talk about darkening the corners. Easy ways to do it is to go into the effects panel on the post-crop vignette and just drag this little slider over a little bit. You can just see it darkening around the edge. You can see it's darkening a little bit around there, so the shape is controlled. It's probably an oval shape. We'll find out what it really is if we go too strong. We wouldn't do that much, but if it was, and I don't have one, if it was a picture, there was one of the images in this last competition, which was a high key. It had a blonde girl with very light skin, and it was a nice picture. So if it was on that, we wouldn't want to darken the edges necessarily because everything's light.
Yeah.
And we can take that in the opposite direction. So we can actually lighten the images, the edges. Back in the 1800s, when sepia tone portraits of Victorian ladies were popular, they did do light edges.
Yeah.
But currently, I don't think we do.
No.
Right, so that's that one down there. The other panel that's down here is transform. So if we go into this little guy, this is a monastery, abbey, church or something in Kildare in Ireland. Let's assume that my verticals aren't vertical. In fact, I don't think they are. We can either do them.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, yes, perfect.
Whoa, that makes me feel drunk. Transform it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to transform it that way as well.
That's a very useful tool. These are the transforms.
So we can rotate, and as soon as we start doing, we get a small grid on them. So there's lots of different ways that we can modify our picture. We can also do it automatically. That's the way the program believes it should be. We can guide it. I've given it 2 different versions, and I believe the whole thing's falling over now, but never mind. We can organize the level, the vertical, quite useful. So we can control those ones, etc. Very useful.
Now, what you I see you use the magnifier on it. Could you do that again a little bit? Say
that was on the guided.
Yeah. Oh, so that's it. So the magnifier just appears automatically.
It appears automatically when I click into.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I've not seen that pop up yet. I've not used that bit, and it just was
yes.
quite interesting.
Yes.
So as soon as you click on that and you're on the pic, and then you go to your picture, I see it. Yes.
So that one's quite handy. This little guy here, red eye correction. If you've got flash on camera, you get red eyes. Yeah, I guess we possibly all know that. It's a reflection of the blood in the back of the retina. What they now have is one for pet eyes as well. Has he got red eyes? Come back here. All is forgiven. No, look at that. Only one catch light as well. But if that was a red eye, we'd put the little crosshair over the top of it and click. And what it actually does is it takes the color out. It makes it back to black and white. Let's assume that his lips were wrong. Oh, we can't. It doesn't like doing things other than what it's supposed to do. Oh, there we go. So it desaturates. So the red eye doesn't disappear. It just desaturates the red. And we control the size of the circle with the arrow keys, I believe. Oh, no, it's this one down here. Yeah. So once we've clicked, we alter the pupil size. So I do feel I need to undo a few things on this one.